What's up, everyone? My name is Brendan Kovacs. I'm a senior red team consultant here at Bishop Fox. I am joined today with a few of my colleagues. We've got Laurent, Thomas, and the world famous one day DA, Rob Antonucci. Um, this has been a long time coming. The company's asked us to have a monthly podcast episode hosted by the red team to really put out information that we feel is relevant, talk about things that excite us, relevant news, discussions, things along those lines. It's a very informal discussion. It's going to be a little bit different than what you guys are used to every other week. So yeah, we're really excited to have you guys.
Yeah, that's us. We're
Let's
here.
go. Yeah.
So yeah, if you guys, I guess, want to go around the table and introduce yourselves.
I'll start since you said my name first. Laurent, been at Bishop Fox, three and a half years. Red team, of course, that's why we're here. Specialties in Azure, like developing tools, attack graphing, any sort of graph. Give me the graph, give me the nodes, give me the edges. I'm there.
Yeah. I guess I'll go second because I was mentioned second. Thomas Wilson, been here at Bishop Fox for like 6 years, almost 7. But I've been doing red teaming for about a year and a half now. Before that, a lot of app testing, a lot of thick client testing, product security reviews. And honestly, red teaming is kind of the most fun.
Yep. Rob Antonucci has just passed my 8-year mark here at Bishop Fox. I think I did the red team for about 5 years. Before that, I was doing all kinds of APTs, IPTs, EPTs. So on the red team, I'm mostly focused on assume breach, Active Directory stuff. Lately, been doing a lot of tool dev with AI. Ron.
Sip my tea.
So for the viewers, Laurent said every time we hear the word AI, he will be drinking a shot of his tea.
I realize I can't pour this big cup into this tiny cup, so I'm just going to take a sip of this hot tea.
More practical, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So hey, everyone, my name's Brendan. As I said, I also work here on the red team. I've been around for around 4 years now, give or take. Kind of all over the place. Network pen testing, social engineering. A lot of my research has been in AI. Laurent, take a shot. Really at the intersection, though, the intersection of offensive security and AI. A lot of the research that we've done and the deep fakes, other applications, right? That's kind of been my bread and butter and specialty. So yeah, this is going to be a fun episode. I know we got quite a bit to hash out and talk about. Ron, I guess like everyone here works on tool development. So like, what do you guys think is happening in the space, especially in the context of like red teaming? I mean, Rob, you build all sorts of tools. Thomas, so do you. And Laurent, you're doing all sorts of cool things, especially with Zero. Yeah, so let's hash it out.
It's crazy because like on our team, everybody does something different, with the exception of like the two people who don't show themselves. But like everyone else is in their own little world of tool development. So even us on the call, we all do very different things. And so my thing is graphs and like little convenient scripts to do things just like everybody else. But man, tools out there are fun. I say fun because like as somebody who's interested in research, it's fun to see what people are really into. And it's also fun to see how it's received by both red teamers and blue teamers alike. Depending, like the more critical the tool is, the bigger their reaction. And I really appreciate the people who put their tools out on public platforms, because it gives an insight into other things you can research. That's why we have like competitions like what is it, Pwn exploit, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
That one where everyone wins money. Yeah, like that kind of stuff is cool, man. Could I do it? I don't think I'm that smart, but man, it's a lot of cool stuff out there. So I'm going to self-inflict this one. As we get more into AI,
Oh no. Oh my
take a
god.
yeah. It's going to be easier to write this kind of stuff. But I do think it's also important that like you don't just write things with AI and I'm really leaning into this and not know what you're doing. So I think everyone on our team is very aware of like the context that we have and what we're doing, what we're trying to accomplish, which is the right way to do it. We're not really token wasters, right? We recycle our tokens here.
Yeah, I think like also like all of us are kind of working in different small areas that like there's always somebody who kind of knows a thing like, hey, I need to do this very specific thing. Like I need Azure, I need to work in Azure. And Laurent, you're there with like Zero. And it's like, okay, perfect. Or it's like, oh, like I'm going into an engagement and like CrowdStrike always gets this payload. And Rob's like, okay, I've got like a mythic payload for you. It's like, I think a little bit more so now with the knowledge that we have as attackers, it's cool to be able to have a little bit of an assistant to be like, okay, I already know what I need to do. I know the exact requirements. Like I could write out a requirements document if you sat me down, but I don't have the dev time necessarily. That's kind of the area where it's like, I think we're iterating a little bit more in the presence of AI. But I mean, I think basically like Laurent and Rob, both of you, if correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, like you've been working on stuff even before that, and same with me. Like a lot of the tools that I'm working on now, stuff that I was already working on, like knowledge that I already had, but it's just like, oh, thank God I can get an answer to this question, like inside the gaps of like working on projects.
Yeah,
Yeah.
get you some of that handcrafted artisanal code.
Yeah,
And I would say, like, you can't just use tools off of GitHub anymore. Like, red team projects, like, EDRs are getting good. Like, you can't just
yeah,
download Certify and just run it. Like, that's going to get caught. So we
Mhm.
have to actually take the time to fork it, figure out why is it getting caught.
yeah. It's like it's interesting too because it's never we exist in a time period where it's never been easier to rewrite something and change the signature entirely. Like you can take an existing concept and say like I want this to signature differently in every single way, both like on the wire, like in like stack traces, like dynamic analysis, static analysis. You can make a tool that does the exact same thing totally differently, which is an interesting like meta mutation to do.
Like even more interesting, a lot of signatures are public for different vendors.
Yeah.
And so you could just be like, hey, look at all these signatures and don't do that, please.
Yeah, and AI has all that for you.
Yeah.
Here's all the
Yeah.
things you shouldn't do. Let's do them.
Yeah, it's really crazy, like how these capabilities are really enabling us as red teamers, right? I feel like it's a force multiplier in a way, especially when it's used responsibly. And if you have context, if you understand how things work under the hood, right? It's really acting as a force multiplier, enabling us to work harder, smarter, more efficient, right? Especially in our ability to iterate and create things. I mean, everyone here is cranking out all sorts of tooling. I mean, I'm sure, like Laurent, give us an example of like, Zero, like you've been working on that for a while, right?
Yeah. So for the audience, once upon a time in a previous life, I wrote a tool called Storm Spotter. This was in like 2021 ish. And the whole point was that you build an attack graph of Azure of nodes and edges, and it was publicly available online. And after coming to Bishop Fox, I was like, I really want to keep working on this, but I want to change it up for a bunch of different reasons because the original design was not great. It was also relatively slow to do all the processing for like large environments. And so now it's out. I'm not saying it's written in Rust as Rust is a feature, but it is written in a way that like it's very, very efficient, very fast. So to give you an example, I had a client where they had a massively large environment, like something I didn't expect because I didn't know who they were. I say that like I didn't realize the significance of this company. And when I ran Zero the first time, it kept breaking because of timeouts, right? To Graph, Microsoft Graph, and Azure Resource Manager. Did a bunch of fixes, did a bunch of caching and blah blah blah. Uh, Ran it again. It took about, I don't want to say under an hour. And they had about 1 million nodes and 8 million relationships in this Neo4j graph because they had like 200,000 resources, at least like 100,000 graph objects. And like Zero like helped me go through all of this data because it was massive. Like that was a
This is
lot of
like
data to go through.
cartoonishly large.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
is
this like
how
this is a
is this
real
possible?
company, right? Like a real
Yeah,
Fortune,
yeah,
Fortune
yeah.
X type company. And so like I didn't expect all of that. Uh they had well over 200 subscriptions. Like it was crazy. And so like building out these tools in order to do this sort of analysis at scale, which is where we need to get, automated or not, um, is like really important. So I was able to use Zero and able to basically achieve all the goals I needed to achieve, plus more, right? For that client. And so, man, like the tools that we get the time to develop and whether it's in our spare time or in between or on projects as necessary, is really important. I think everyone should be able to do that. It's always weird. People are like, red teamers don't know how to program, and this is like a real controversial statement.
Oh,
Uh,
man.
like red teamers don't know how to code and blah blah blah, which is true. You don't, depending on what your environment is, you may not need to know how to code, but it's going to help. You're going to be more efficient. I don't know if you were doing like, I want to say things like aren't like physical or like social engineering related, right? In that world, if you are a red teamer and you're not at least at a minimum now using AI to code, then you are very much left behind everyone
Yes,
else,
I
and you
totally
aren't
agree with
really
that.
doing justice for the client either.
It's an absolute prerequisite to know how to code.
And I think the underlying theme here is, how this technology is really shaping how we operate, right? From tool development to, I mean, all various domains in like red teaming in general, like reconnaissance, initial access, exploitation, pivoting and lateral movement. All of that requires tooling that we're now able to crank out rapidly and use internally throughout the team and help each other out. Um, what would some examples? What examples would you say? I guess if we were to talk about how AI is essentially, I would say shaping the future of red teaming, but really helping us operate much better and more efficient, more faster. What are some examples you guys would say? I think for me, like, I do a lot of social engineering related stuff. So I think it's a great use to have like your agent swarms go out into the internet doing research for you that would, for me, would normally take me, spend a couple of days, hours or days on. Now I can launch, through custom skills, have them tap into all sorts of various, repositories, websites, resources, databases, all sorts of things, right? To compile and analyze and do my research for me at a rapid scale that I wouldn't really be able to do in the past, or at least I could, but it would just take so much longer. Like, what are some other examples how you guys are using this technology to
I'll
support what you're doing?
I'll tell you one place that is actually very useful, which is actually interestingly like where these tools even came from in the first place, in a way, like LLMs in how Google was working on them originally, is when you're doing social engineering across a language barrier and you need to send out an email or some sort of message to somebody in a language that you don't understand, uh, typical translation tools suffer from not really understanding context. And the way that LLMs actually work is they have embeddings for tokens for, essentially words, but they understand the context of a word outside of the literal in terms of like an abstraction of the word. So it's like if you want to say something that sounds naturalistic in another language, if you want to send a phishing email and say, Chinese or Japanese, or let's say, you're not from America and you want to send it in English, right? It's much easier for people to phish right now simply because, like from across borders, simply because it's so easy to say something that sounds right and doesn't sound like, your typical Nigerian prince type scam with broken English or broken whatever language.
It's really shaping the future of social engineering. I mean, it's not just limited to like phishing. I mean, this technology is enabling, not just like, text generation, but even like video and image generation, sound synthesis, ability to take public facing assets of a target and, using consumer grade hardware, train a voice model off them, in a span of a few hours, using only like 15, 20 minutes of high fidelity speech. And then from there,
You would
being
know
able
something
to,
about that.
couple things. And yeah, being able to like, route that voice changer output into a virtual audio cable and then start placing calls as that subject. And it's really terrifying. Like, I've always believed that like for any new technology that's out there, like obviously it can be used for good, but there's always going to be some dude or, living in their mom's basement, cranking away, using it for all sorts of nefarious and evil purposes per se. But yeah, it's really incredible how these technologies are really shaping the future of our industry. I mean, you see Mythos, right? Uncovering like what 10,000 vulnerabilities in the past month. Pretty impressive, right? But I still think at the end of the day, like it still requires someone in the driver's seat to drive it, or in this context, the concept of a harness, right? Because it's not you're not sitting there like prompting it left and right like a chat app, go do this, do that. All of these require a harness to drive these frameworks for whatever it is you're doing, whether it's vulnerability research to network level pen testing or writing code or whatever that is. We live in some really exciting times, terrifying times, but also really exciting times. Terrifying because obviously the same technology is being used by threat actors for all sorts of nefarious purposes. But for like, I feel like us on the red team, it's really exciting. It's like a really exciting time to live because we get to use this, and it's really giving us that 10x force multiplier.
Yeah, and if nefarious people are using it, that's the exact reason why we need to get good at it. We need to be better than
Yeah.
them.
I mean, that's the whole premise of red teaming, right? Is to provide that level of adversary emulation, right? Emulating the same tactics, techniques, procedures, yada yada yada, right? But taking that same approach of what the bad guys are doing, but doing it for ethical purposes with authorization, as I like to phrase it, we get to do all the fun stuff.
Yeah. I mean,
But
I kind of like I came into the red team from working at Bishop Fox for like 5 years before doing any red teaming at all, right? I think Brandon, you and I worked on my first red team together, and then when I joined the team, Rob and I worked together quite a bit, like just at the very start for like a pretty long project, and like it is such a different idea. It is such a different approach from like a how you actually do your day-to-day job from regular pen testing, like operating in the context of just doing something without being detected alone changes things. But then even actually just like emulating a real world attacker, like how are you going to move through the network in a way that is similar to how a real world attacker moves through the network might be different depending on what you're emulating, right? Like if you're emulating, like say your smash and grab versus low and slow, like you want to stay in the network forever, or say you want to get immediately to the trophy target before you get caught extremely quickly. It's cool learning that stuff, and it's cool applying that stuff. Like it's just a very, very unique perspective that puts to the test some really, really cool concepts in cybersecurity.
Rob, you know the thing about that. Okay, so Rob on our team has a nickname, One Day DA Rob. He knows quite a bit about moving fast through networks. Rob, you want to share us some stories?
So yeah, I mean that was my whole thing was the whole smash and grab because that's kind of where I started with like I'm saying doing pen testing. There was no stealth back there. You just kind of throw the kitchen sink at it and see what sticks. But yeah, I want to say I was one of the coolest attacks that we've done was actually a project that we did together. So we basically set up. It was in a assume breach and it was a physical with social engineering. So the assume breach was kind of the first part, and whatever we did with the assume breach, we could actually leverage for the physical. This was actually really a big turning point in us for as far as like our tooling and stuff, because this was one of the big projects where we had a nice easy path to get to DA, but we didn't have any payloads that can get past S1 at the time. So that was kind of where we got stuck, and we had to kind of start over and do like a purple team after that. But the whole attack
And
path was
sidebar,
yeah, go ahead.
I think I want you to mention later because I feel like that's what set you on the journey of like all of the
It's
payload
one
dev
of them,
stuff.
yes.
Yeah.
I was very mad because we had a clear path here and we just could not do it. We just didn't have the tools to do it. Um, but yeah, so basically, assume breach around a VDI. We found like an open RDP server or something. Found a file share. There were some encrypted credentials on it. Some application did some kind of, homegrown encryption where they put the key right next to the encrypted material. Decrypted that. It was a service account. Had a local admin. Pivoted to DA with that. And then basically, once we got DA, we were trying to pivot to the physical control access control servers. So once we started pivoting around with these credentials, that's when we got caught dropping payloads. But after that, basically, we figured out we got onto one of the servers, like SQL database. From there, I think we dumped the hashes for the application, cracked the hashes, logged into it, and we basically just created new employees. So we got like Brandon and one of the other guys. We uploaded their pictures, put them in the database, gave them access to all the doors. And at that point, we pretty much pivoted to the physical. That's where
Yeah, that
Brandon
was
picked it up.
That was the coolest project we've ever done. I mean, typically when we do these red team engagements, they're like very scoped. Like you're doing a network assume breach, you're doing an external, whatever it is, right? This is the first time where a client, I mean, also given the context, right? If you're working on a groundbreaking technology that has the potential to really change society and just how we operate, you have a very big target on your back, right? And that was the level of adversary the client wanted us to emulate. And if you're this a nation state level adversary, you're not going to stop at just taking over the network, let alone when you're trying to get into systems that are air gapped, right? You're going to use whatever you found on the network side to support a physical breach of that environment. And yeah, this is the first time we're able to chain these two, what are usually two different separate engagements, but chain them together, right? To really give them that realistic emulation of what a real life adversary, you know, that would pull off. And yeah,
I mean, there were moments where you were literally walking around in the building, right? And then one of our other operators, Tim, had access to the door control system, and you would be like, "Hey, we need to get into this door," and he would literally unlock it for you right then and there. I mean,
3,000
that's
miles
like,
away. Yeah.
Just like in the movies.
Yeah, that, I
yeah.
mean, that was we could sell that script to like Netflix for the next spy thriller. I mean, straight up. I mean, yeah. I mean, again, if
You
you're
guys didn't get caught, right?
no, I mean, we
You
were
guys
them.
walked right
We
into
were the
no problem.
employees.
They didn't even
I walked
question
around
you.
like I own that place.
Yeah.
One of my
I mean,
favorite parts about this entire thing too is like, because you didn't get caught and because we technically didn't get caught, there is one moment where everything could have fallen apart and it didn't, because we got lucky because there was a human error, a tiny human error. We had named the payload that did get detected by S1. We had named it something like, SQL integrity or something like that. It sounded like
it was a DLL hijack for a sequel. That's what it was.
yes, it was a DLL hijack for something SQL related, and it looked like a legitimate DLL. S1 caught it, and it escalated to some, guy in the SOC. He looked at the file name. He said, "Oh, that's legitimate. This is a real DLL. I shouldn't. This could break something. This is a false positive." And because of that, even though at the time, like now we have the tooling for it, but at the time we did not have a payload that would work, he just re-enabled the payload and we were back into the network. It could have died there, but because of that, no detection throughout the entire thing.
Yeah, no, that was the craziest engagement we've ever done. I mean,
the client was happy too. That was a fun one. They were really into it.
Yeah,
those status calls.
Yeah, and that's kind of where it happened. I was set to arrive and fly into wherever I was supposed to go, and I was like, let me join the status calls and just see how the team is doing, and just ask my questions that I normally ask before a physical. Are there security guards? Do they have guns? Can I break in at 4 a.m? Like, what are the rules of engagement? Right? What times can we operate? Things of this nature. And once we heard where you guys were in the project, and you're like, oh yeah, we think we got into the thing that has control of the doors and access control. My ears perked up immediately. Like, oh wait, what? Say that again. Say that again.
Oh, we got you floor plans too, I think, didn't we?
Yeah. I mean that was
and photos of the badge templates.
Badge templates.
Yeah, the actual badge template.
I mean, at that point, we essentially, that was because again, not every engagement you're going to operate at like CIA spy level, inject yourselves into the environment, right? Every client is different. But given the client and the threat that we're going against and what they were trying to emulate, this was this was our like first opportunity to operate at that level, where we injected ourselves into an environment. I remember you and I, Rob, were going through the systems for a couple of days, like trying to poke around and see what we could do, and realize, oh crap, we can add ourselves as employees, and oh wait, they have different access control levels for different doors. Let's add me to this group, whatever. And I remember like going in at middle of the night, doing whatever, and having you or Tim, like, because we could watch things like as people are standing in the front gate, I'd know, hey, you have around 10 minutes until someone, so and so that has access to the server room. They just arrived to the office at 4 a.m. By the way, you have around 10 minutes, so you're about to get caught. And then doing the thing, I'm on my AirPods. I'm like, hey, Tim, let's do it. Just open the door for me. And just bing, I see a green light. That was
so cool.
Coolest engagement.
I think that's like the thing that like is so cool about red teaming that, like, you know, a lot of the like news articles that we see are like, hey, new 0-day found. And it's like, okay, yeah, 0 days, they're out there, they exist. Like, you know, they hit and then people exploit them. And it's like, that's the whole thing. But like, so many of the actual big compromises that happen are like people failures in some way or another, like where, hey, I re-enabled this thing, or hey, I didn't challenge the fact that there's two guys walking around the office that clearly I've never seen before, and they're going into suspicious places, or like, you know, testing that is a really interesting concept. And it's cool. It's cool, man. You don't get to do it in other types of tests.
Yeah. I think that's the beauty of like the red team. Like everyone has a different background, a different specialty, but like when you fuse all these elements together, it makes up this like really special team. Like
Oh, you think I'm special?
we're all special. I think we're all special to some. Yeah, we're all special.
Oh man, I'm also just thinking there's Laurent. I like the guy re-enabling the thing just reminds me of when you were like working on that project. You were like RDP'd into some machine, or you were connected somehow, and
Oh
you were
yeah,
communicating to
that
that dude
guy.
through pop-ups. Yeah.
Yeah. So this was a project I don't know about a year ago, and I was looking for a domain admin somewhere, logged into a machine that they logged into. Uh, this was sort of like a child domain and not like the primary domain. And the child domain was like a subsidiary, right? So they took all the stuff, put it in a child domain, and they left their domain admins for that by themselves. And I get to this machine, and I'm like, all right, cool. I need to figure out how to get to this guy because I know he's around here somewhere. And then he sends me a net send.
Oh yeah.
Like, yo, when do we still do that? Man sent me a net send and said, "Who are you?
Who are you?
Who
I'm
are
you
you?
now? Like, what are you doing, bro? Like, thank you." That's crazy to me.
I remember I used to like send in high school to like people. Other people.
Yeah. I'm like, bro, I had no path until you asked the question.
Literally coolest thing ever.
I think also, you know, you mentioned like the human element, Thomas. I think one of the first one you mentioned, that was a great one. And that was a great engagement. But I think one of my best stories with you was when we were in New York City together. You tell it. Talk about how we got in.
Oh my god. Okay, so this is the first time I ever did a physical. Brandon was like my physical Sherpa, and we're in New York City.
Big
Like we're
skyscraper.
looking at big skyscraper, you know, and he's looking at it. He's like, all my expertise says that we're probably going to get burned if we go in, you know, X, Y, and Z way. We're probably going to get burned this way, but you know, why don't you try just going in and see if you can deliver some pizzas? And I'm like, okay, I'll try to deliver some pizzas into the office. We'll see how it goes. I go down the block. I expense $200 in pizzas. I'm holding a cartoonish stack of pizzas,
Up to
enormously tall. I go in, we already have the names of everybody who works there. So I go in, the security guy, I tell him, I'm already prepared to like bribe him with a pizza. I'm like, hey, I'm going up to, you know, whatever floor to meet, you know, whoever. And he's like, oh, okay, sounds good. And I'm
Let
like,
me just get the elevator for you.
do you want a pizza? Like, you know, I'm sitting there thinking like, I had planned to bribe you. Do you still want one? Give him a pizza. Anyway, go up. They have a second layer of security, of course, as you do in typical New York buildings, right? You've got, you know, your ground floor security guy who's not associated with the company. Then you've got your like front desk, you know, where there's like some sort of badge in system. The woman there asks me, you know, hey, like, what are you here for? I gave her the same exact story. They call out the guy whose name I gave. I was hoping that he would not even be there. And I've got this cover story. I'm like, oh, well, you know, somebody from your office came to one of our conferences and you won a bunch of pizzas as part of a raffle. And I'm here to deliver that. And he's like, are these pizzas poisoned? And I'm like,
Did he say
no,
that?
man, they're no. He said that to me. I'm like, no, man, these are normal pizzas. They're completely normal pizzas. And he's like, okay. He's about to take them inside. I'm like, wait, can I get a picture inside to show that I actually deliver them to you guys? And he's like, all right. And I go in and he's like, putting the pizzas down. I'm like, can I actually get a pen and paper so I can write something so that, you know, just so that you guys know where they came from? Because they didn't give me a thing. And he's like, wait right here. we're not, as part of this engagement, we're not actually supposed to plug anything in. So I just take pictures of all of the Ethernet. I take pictures of all the desks. He comes back and he's like, here's your pen and paper. Oh, they sign it. He's like, all right, get out of here. Brandon and I go back later to show like some additional ways that we could have gotten into the building because they were happy with that. They're like, that's fine. And Brandon's showing them all of like the cool flexes of like, compressed gas and all that stuff. And we see the guy. And he's like, you're the pizza guy, aren't you? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, huh. And he leaves. And then he comes back and he says, you just said that so you could get in the building, didn't you? And I'm like, yeah, guilty as charged.
That realization's crazy. That's why.
It's several seconds.
We also have some funny stories about physicals. Like Rob, you did your first one last week, or was it last week or the week before?
So super stressful, but we did it. We got caught on day 3, but it was the same kind of thing. Big skyscraper. So the building itself was not in scope, so they just gave us guest badges that we just took off when we got on the elevators. We did recon, went up the elevators, looked around. It's basically you get off the elevator and then there's a glass door and then like a side door, and that's it. You can't walk around, you can't do anything. So poked around a little bit. Eventually, we decided to implant the reader because we realized at the time that there was no way to skim badges because they were all using their phones. So we put a ESP key behind the reader. As soon as we finished doing that, locked it all up, put it back together. Guy walks out the door right next to us, and the door just stays open for like 5 minutes. And we just like look at each other like, is it time to go?
It's a shot.
Walk inside. So we walked inside, basically looked for open jack, plugged the sharp jack in, trying to find IPs, dropped the Pi, and then checked in later. Didn't get no call back, nothing worked. So we went back the next day to pick it up and try to reconfigure it. And they were watching us on the camera, so they had noticed as soon as we plugged it in, it set off an alert, say some unrecognized devices on the network. So that was fun. But then we realized too during the walkthrough that there was a 3rd floor that we didn't even see because it was like a different elevator bay. So essentially, they use like the motion sensors to open the doors. So they don't use the rec sensors because they were too annoying. But the motion sensor was literally like 4 inches away from the glass, and the gap in the freaking glass was like this big. So you like stuck a piece of paper in it, just like shook a little bit, and the door will open straight up.
That's so good.
They were just like, oh shit, that's wow.
I call it red team arts and crafts. I remember when Alith and I were doing a physical out in somewhere in California. We wanted to hit those rec sensors, but we didn't have the CO2 gas for whatever reason. So we used hand warmers and motion sensors. Hand warmers to attack the rec sensors. And it was funny. We called like
that's really cool.
We called a dry cleaner place. We're like, hey, we're in town for whatever. Can we buy some coat hangers off of you? I'm like, no, just come by. We'll give you some for free. So we got some coat, the really thin, the dry cleaner coat hangers, the ones that are really thin, that you can stick through door cracks. Bought those, went to CVS. We bought some hand warmers, and then we're like taping them together. Yeah, I call it Red Team Arts and Crafts. Yeah, stick those things through the door, wave it at the rec sensor. That heat will then disrupt the infrared spectrum, simulating human movement, and boom, doors pop open. Red Team Arts and Crafts is the best.
And cooled?
Yeah.
Any temperature difference for most of them. Because you'd expect it to be heat, right? Like you'd expect it to be like, oh, this is an AC building, so a hotter thing comes under the sensor. It's a human body. But that's why the compressed gas works in interesting ways, because it's like, oh, this is colder. And it's like, boom, door open. And it's like, why? Why can't we have it be, one way or the other?
Yeah, the rec sensors, they establish a baseline. The majority of them are infrared based. And because of that, if it sees any difference in, from the baseline, whether it's hotter or colder, it will, trigger the sensor. There's a way to fix that. There are upgrades to sensors that have, I believe it's ultrasonic. So it acts as a fallback to reduce those false positives. Because even if you, stick a can of CO2 gas and shoot it at the sensor, it's not going to trip the ultrasonic side of things. So it requires 2 elements, right, to trigger the sensor.
On the side of physicals, one thing that always shocks me, especially here in New York, is that so many office buildings still use really, really weak badge protocols, like early era HID, where it's, you're talking about maybe a handful of bytes, right? Like maybe 3 byte badge numbers with no encryption. And the flipper, I think I got the flipper right back there. the flipper works in like 90% of places that I see in New York City. The flipper will successfully clone and emulate the badge, and it's a fix that you can implement at the reader side. But a lot of places just don't do it because it's slightly more expensive.
Yeah.
When it's like it's the gains from doing it are so high, like it pays off in spades just not being able to have a over the counter tool clone your badges.
It's crazy because, yeah, and a lot of people, they just want the cheapest solution. They think, oh, whatever, it's secure, it's a badge, no one can get that. And obviously they
Right.
haven't, paid us to do a physical and send us to the front
Right.
door or back door, or we build our own back doors. I don't know.
Exactly.
I will say that the client was very impressed with the whole ESPT implant. 'Cause apparently you can't do that all the time. They were
Yeah.
just like, yeah, do it. And during like the walkthrough, we just took the phone out and popped the door open. They were just like, wow, that's crazy. We ended up collecting like 120 unique badges that day within like one night.
Oh, that's sick.
It's like
Yeah.
Pokemon, got to collect them all.
Yeah.
Laurent, tell us about your favorite physical. Remember when it's 129 degrees?
Oh yeah, man. That was in a hot place.
Elements.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I don't really do physicals that often. But that one, I got a burn from that one, like on my hand, trying to try to crack a lock outside.
Padlock, yeah.
Yeah, and that was painful. I got blisters, man. That was kind of crazy. I think that's all we can really say about that because
Yeah.
it's but it was nice. I think they were surprised. They were definitely surprised when we just walked up when they were they were leaving the
Right in
the
front of
compound,
them.
and we walked up with our clipboards, and we was like, "Oh yeah, we're here for the blah blah blah," and we opened up the first lock because we already knew the combination, right, based on previous recon, and then the second door we didn't know the code, but we thought we would try it. It didn't work, and we were like, "Hey, like we're here from X, Y, and Z. Our code doesn't work. Um, could you let us in or something like that? We're gonna call a manager." So they had a
No
phone
cell
call.
phone service. Yeah.
Yeah. No cell phone service. We had a phone call.
Out in the middle of the desert. Yeah.
And like it was I mean, we got in, we accomplished the goal. Uh I would never go get a blister in the where we were again. Like that's not ideal.
I think that's the only physical I've ever done where they're like, okay, you have the risk of heat stroke, poisonous snakes and spiders, monsoons.
Yeah. I've never walked in a Bass Pro Shop before.
That one, yeah,
Please,
That was
guys.
crazy.
we had a blank check to go buy the things that we needed to buy
It
to
was a
support
first for
this
everything.
engagement.
Any more, and the GeoGuessr guy is going to know exactly where you were.
Right?
Yeah, that was a good times. But yeah, I think it shows that, like with the red team, it's very diverse, like the skill sets. You have like obviously the network hands-on keyboard guys, you have the social engineering people, you have the developer, the guys who just love doing development, the guy who doesn't like to show his face. I'm not going to give names. And but when you put everyone together, it forms a very special team, right? And that's something I don't think you can really replicate anywhere else. And I mean, some of the stories that we have, like obviously we got to take to the grave, or signing up NDAs to silence a baby elephant.
Yeah,
But,
take at
we got
least
some
the
pretty
end
cool
of the
things on this
NDA.
team. So
Yeah, we hacked some satellites recently. That was fun.
I'm so jealous. That's on my bucket list.
Yeah.
I have some punny jokes. Your hacks were out of this world.
Wow. Wow.
I mean, we can just close the book on the puns there because that's the best one, right?
Yeah, no.
Some high findings. They're interstellar findings.
If anything, what can you say about the satellite hacking, Rob?
Well, I will say that they were very concerned that we got access to this one computer because it literally controlled the satellites that were currently in orbit. If we did anything on them, they'd probably take the whole freaking system down. They were just like, really cool, but get the hell out of that right now. Like, that's good enough. Please don't do anything there. Yeah.
I mean, that's the kind of message that you like to receive during a test is
yeah.
you're good.
Well,
you're good.
This is also the client where we did an Nmap script scan. It took down like the whole voicemail system because they had some old services running on some crazy Yeah, it was like basically netcat running on these ports, and the script end literally
That
took
is
the whole service down.
one interesting thing that
Netcat,
I've
wow.
heard about like a lot of the like extraterrestrial like infrastructure that exists out there just generally, right? From like, I know extraterrestrial, right?
Extraterrestrial,
But
yeah.
you know what I mean? But like a lot of that infrastructure is old. It's like
Yeah,
really, really old. So they don't have ways to patch it in the same way, like without an enormous cost. And a lot of that stuff that's interesting, like way back when Matt Frost was here, him and I worked on a very fun project that was embedded systems. Um, that like, we're looking at stuff that's like able to be patched very easily, but like the techniques that we're using are advanced compared to like the amount of effort that would like be required to hack a lot of these satellites that are potentially accessible from URLs on the public internet today,
yeah,
which that kind of thing is wild to me that no matter where you're connected, you're still connecting in the same protocols that like exist on the public internet. Like the internet is how you get to everything. So if you got a satellite out in space, you got to go through the internet to get to it.
Or a
yeah.
carrier pigeon if you're looking at real
Or a carrier pigeon.
RFCs. Yeah.
A very powerful carrier pigeon with
Mhm.
a helmet on.
It's in the RFC, so it exists.
And a rocket strapped onto its back.
Yeah.
No, it's crazy though, like how much critical infrastructure is still that exists on the public internet. I mean, there was an article I read a few days ago about I don't want to give country names, but a particular country that was trying to exploit gas stations in the United States, right? Just because the gas pumps and readers and fuel tanks and things along those lines are publicly accessible on the internet. They don't require any sort of authentication or passwords. And it's really terrifying how, this could potentially be used, abused, and sabotaged at times of like war.
Yeah. I think a lot of for a long time, like if you go to like DEF CON or Black Hat or whatever, there have been people talking about like baking more information security into spaces that don't necessarily think about it. Like a lot of like, uh, provincial stuff or like, hey, like this is like a municipal, like, water or whatever, like all sorts of places like that, just all around. And people talking about like, we need to get there. Like it's coming soon. Like that, like Rubicon is going to be crossed soon. And we're kind of in some ways, we're kind of at that, right? Where it's like now people are just like arbitrarily like using AI to, go crazy. Like, I'm going to hack anything. It doesn't really matter what I'm hacking. I just want to get a 0 day or, wartime, whatever, what have you. And it's like a lot of that stuff is a target for cybersecurity attacks in ways that I feel like wasn't all throughout. Like when I was coming up in college and after college and doing my first baby security job, that was like barely a twinkle in my eye that kind of stuff would happen.
Yeah, I mean, one of my first engagements here, actually my first red team at Bishop Fox was for a transportation company industry. That's all I'm going to say.
Mhm.
And yeah, that client had concerns of, nation state level attackers gaining access to the critical IoT environments that control the things. And my partner at the time, we did exactly what we had to do, and it really opened my eyes how, you know, if this was a real life threat actor, how they could take these similar attack chains and cause incredible harm and economic consequences. And it's really crazy because just 2 days ago, there's an article that came out about it, how hackers from I believe Iran or wherever were hacking into the train system in Los Angeles, and how they're able to gain access to the train control switchboard and dashboard. And yeah, it's really crazy how people can, obviously, and thankfully they didn't sabotage and cause all sorts of harm and whatnot. But yeah, you have critical infrastructure that exists on the public internet, and um, it really highlights the work that we do, right? Trying to find these things so that way they can't be exploited for nefarious and malicious intent and purposes.
It's it's nice to talk about the things that we can, right? And the things that we do and how different all of our experiences are. And I think that like particularly on our team where you mentioned like everybody has a different specialty and we're all like working together. We're all in this together. Yeah. That's getting clipped. I think it's super important, right? That you have this variety of skills.
We're
So that
special,
yeah.
Rainbow.
Yeah, it's nice
I
to
mean,
have
it
this
is.
variety of skills, man. Like it's just it's ideal when you have all these different backgrounds coming together as opposed to people who are all about one tip technology. Like consulting's very different than an internal team, right? And so yeah, man, great experiences.
Yeah, we got a good team.
One thing that's really nice is just being able to talk to you guys every single day. We have daily meetings across the whole team. Like it's so cool seeing really smart people in your field doing different things every single day. That's
Yeah.
really sick.
Yeah, there's like 525,600 minutes we can talk to each other.
Oh
And
my
how do
gosh.
you measure a year?
Is that from
How
Rent?
do you measure it? In daylight? In sunsets?
I like that musical growing up, I will admit.
Yeah.
Alrighty, everyone. Well, this has been a great first episode. This will be the first. Well, this is the first iteration of the Red Team podcast here at Bishop Fox. Excited for next month. Thank you, everyone.
Later, guys.
Yeah. Peace.